In the remote mountains of Central Asia, there is a village where something impossible happened. For nearly 2 decades, people began falling asleep. Not normal sleep, not exhaustion, but a deep, uncontrollable sleep that could last for days, sometimes weeks. People collapsed in the streets, children fell asleep in classrooms, workers dropped where they stood. And when they woke up, many of them had no memory of what happened. Some reported terrifying hallucinations, others said they saw strange figures wandering through their dreams. For 18 years, no one could explain it. This is the story of a village that slept for nearly 2 decades. The village of Kalachi sits in northern Kazakhstan, a quiet rural community surrounded by open steppe and forest. For decades, life there followed a simple rhythm. Farmers worked the land, children went to school, neighbors gathered in the evenings. Nothing about the village seemed unusual, but beneath the calm surface, something strange was waiting. It started quietly in 2010. A few villagers began complaining about sudden exhaustion. They described overwhelming fatigue, the kind that makes it impossible to stay awake. At first, doctors believed it was stress or illness, but then something disturbing began happening. People started falling asleep suddenly, not at night, not in their beds, but anywhere. A man collapsed while riding his bicycle. Another fell asleep while standing outside his home. Children would suddenly put their heads down on their desks, unconscious for hours. Episodes started lasting longer. Some villagers slept for 2 days, others slept for 4 or 5 days straight. During these episodes, they could not be woken by noise or shaking, not even by medical intervention. It was as if their bodies had simply shut down. When the villagers finally woke up, many of them described something deeply unsettling: hallucinations. Some said they saw animals that weren't there. Others reported strange shadows moving through their homes. One woman claimed she saw winged horses flying across the sky. Children spoke about monsters crawling along the walls. But the most disturbing detail was many villagers said they felt like they were dreaming while awake. Soon the cases began spreading. Not one or two people, but dozens. Nearly a quarter of the village population experienced these strange sleep episodes. Doctors and scientists were called in. The team ran tests, blood tests, brain tests, environmental studies. They searched for virus and radiation. But every test came back with the same answer: nothing. There was no clear explanation. Investigators discovered something nearby. Just a few kilometers from the village stood an abandoned mine. The mine had been closed for years after the fall of the Union. Some villagers suspected toxic gases might be leaking from underground tunnels. Gases like carbon monoxide or radon slowly escaping into the environment. They could potentially affect the human brain, but the evidence didn't fully support this theory. Gas levels were detected, but not high enough to explain the symptoms. Still, many believe the mine was the answer. For years, the strange sleep continued. Families lived in constant fear. No one knew when the next episode might strike. People avoided working alone. Teachers worried about students collapsing in class. Some villagers even began keeping watch over their sleeping relatives, afraid they might never wake up. The mystery spread across the international news. Scientists from multiple countries arrived to investigate. Still, no one could explain why it was happening. Finally, researchers proposed a disturbing explanation. Deep underground, the abandoned mine contained large amounts of ore. As the mine slowly collapsed, chemical reactions may have released unusual gases into the air. Combined with environmental conditions, these gases could affect oxygen levels in the brain. The results: extreme fatigue, hallucinations, and sudden sleep episodes. But even today, scientists admit the explanation is not fully proven. Eventually, the government made a difficult decision. The village will be evacuated. Families were relocated to other regions. Homes were abandoned, schools closed, and suddenly the mysterious sleep epidemic disappeared. No new cases were reported after people left the area. But the mystery remains. Was it toxic gas from an abandoned mine, a rare condition, or something we still don't understand?